Hey there, let's go with the second video, the second lesson, and explain about class. It means the class is a way to group data and at the same time functions. Why? Because you don't want to have like 20, 30 functions defined like this. It's better to group all of them in class, and you are gonna know that all of them are gonna be defined in a particular class, in your statistic class. Now let's start, or let's explain a little bit about what we did in the previous lesson and what are we gonna do in this, and then we are going to talk about this lesson. Okay, the previous lesson, quickly I'm gonna talk, we download historical data using this. Then we create a functions in order to download this historical data, but creating our own function. Then we create a function to calculate the mean, then the standard deviation. After that, uh, it was all. Now, what we are gonna do? We are gonna create a class called myStatistics, where it's gonna have all these input parameters, symbol, frequency, metrics, star, and n that were already declared, already defined in here, and then we are gonna calculate, sorry, we are gonna do exactly the same functions, but all of them are gonna be grouped in your class, right? We can see that in here I am having the same function than this. The main difference is that we are gonna initialize the variables in here and in it. This function in it is our initialization functions, where all the input parameters are gonna be in here, as we can see. Okay, the main difference is that we are adding self at the beginning, self point at the beginning, and in here we are gonna get this result. Now let's try to run and get the result of our first function. Okay, I copy in here our input parameters, and then let's try to run our function until here. In here we are gonna initialize our class symbol, then we add frequency, metric, start, and end in here. Okay, we get the result, and we can see that we are having in here the top, sorry, let me highlight this, run very quickly our function. We are first, what we want to print, it means we initialize a variable in here, and we are gonna get from our class, in here that we initialize in my class, we are gonna print my samples. It means this variable. Let's say you have something like this, house, just to name something. It's gonna be equal to 1, 2, 3. If I try to get house, it's not gonna be possible. Why? Because it was not initialized with self. Okay, it's very important. As we can see, there is an error. My statistic object has not attribute house. Okay, let's get rid of this, and then the next step. Okay, download the data. We have in here our data. We are gonna print in here the result, our first result, right? In order to see my data in here, and the output is gonna be exactly, sorry, house, where is house? Okay, sorry, house. I I didn't get, I do not get rid of house. Okay, and after all, we are gonna have the same result. It means we are downloading from Tingle this historical data. In here, I added these are the results in order to check that all is fine. Printing this. Now the next step, it means we download our data, and then what we would like to do is just to wait a second. Okay, fine. We are gonna calculate the mean. Sorry, there's something wrong. I guess it's in here. Yes. All fine. All should be fine. Now in here, this first result that we get, sorry, we're having here the result my data. Then we are gonna have my data mean, which is this one. Let's go a little bit. Let's go here, and we get all the mean. Finally, have to see the result of the standard deviation, which are all of this result over here. I added this. What is the meaning? This mean do not print the result in 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. It means 4 blank lines. And you can see that now there is this space in here and in here. Of course, this is gonna be greater because we are not printing any result in 4 lines. The next step, after we have already done this, the next step, just to calculate, let's comment all of this, just to calculate, sorry, to implement a second type of way in order to declare a class. Of course, it means, after all, there are different ways of how you can initialize or how to implement class. This is one of the example. And in here, of course, you are going to have the initialization function, where I am adding as an input variable symbol, but the other variables are not going to be added in here. Rather, that adding in this part, I just added all of them in here. Of course, this, as I told you previously, this is gonna depend of your algorithms and the way of how you are gonna program, or the structure of your class and your project. But anyway, we have again all these input parameters, and now we are gonna add only in here symbol, and then we are gonna add the other variables in here. It means we initialize our class. We are gonna initialize our class, and then we get the data and print the data. Let's try to see this result and see if all is fine. Okay, I added in here the expression second version in order to see the output. Second version, and then the output of the data.